Hello my friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you along with me while I bake a homemade vanilla cake for my nanny's birthday. Her birthday is today and we're having a party at her house tonight, and I am in charge of the cake. So I'm going to take you guys along with me while I bake this cake. And if you are new here, my name is Emily. This channel is where I share things about homemaking, motherhood, thrifting, home style, all that kind of thing. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's go ahead and get started baking this cake. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about something that I have seen discussed a lot on social media lately, and that is toxic motherhood culture or toxic mommy culture. Toxic mom culture is something that I believe has always been around. It was around, with the creation of blogs and Facebook, but it's grown a lot within the last decade or so, especially with the emergence of TikTok and trends and reels. It's really grown into a monster. The push on social media these days is to be, quote, authentic and real and even messy. But we've come so far in the name of relatability that we've seen creators being disrespectful, exploitative, and even cruel to their children and their family, all for laughs, views, likes, and shares. I'm sure you've all seen the viral TikTok trend of moms spelling out cruel messages for their toddlers in food and serving it to them, and then going as far as to film it and post it on TikTok just for laughs because they think it's funny. It's not funny, by the way. I've seen videos of moms talking about how annoying their children and their husband are. You see wine mom culture where women claim to need alcohol in order to get through motherhood and deal with their children. And overall, it's just become very, very toxic. And while I'm not denying that motherhood is not easy, I'm not denying that there are difficult parts of motherhood. The past year has been the hardest for me in my motherhood journey thus far. So I'm not denying that it can be difficult. And I'm not saying that we can't discuss the challenges of motherhood, but we need to change the approach. We need to change the way that we talk about it. We've come so far in the name of being relatable and authentic that we have begun to justify bad behavior. It's normal and okay to have struggles, but it's not okay to take it out on your family. It's not okay to resent your family. And it's not okay to use your sense of overwhelm as an excuse to blow up and lose your temper. And I think a lot of what we see, especially nowadays with Reels and TikTok, a lot of these videos and things that they put out there are because people are desperate for followers, they're desperate for views. But I think to some of this culture, there's an element of bitterness to it. They are struggling with something in their motherhood or in their, just family life, their life as a stay-at-home mom. And so they have some bitterness in their heart, and they decide to, it overflows into venting on the internet. And the reason I say this is because while I'm not a person that would go tell somebody that, is an expectant mother or they're excited about motherhood, I would not go to them and say something negative and discouraging to them. But I'm ashamed to admit that when I've been in particularly rough seasons, mentally, as a mother going through a particularly rough season, I have thought some very discouraging comments towards people that I haven't said out loud, but I've thought them. And I believe it's because there was some bitterness in my heart. I had allowed myself to wallow in self-pity. I'd given into my feelings, and I had allowed that overwhelming sense that I had to allow bitterness in my heart. And that was wrong and sinful on my part. And I had to ask the Lord to help me with that because that was wrong. Being a mother requires selflessness. And I think we all struggle with selflessness at times, whether or not you're a mother. But I think it's so important as mothers that we make sure that even if we're struggling, we're not justifying bitterness or resentment in our hearts because of that. It is okay to struggle, but it's not okay to lose our temper, throw tantrums, or vent all of our complaints on the internet. We have to deal with our own heart issues. A verse that really helps me is Proverbs 16:32. It says, "He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city." And that verse has stuck out to me a lot throughout the last year and a half that I've struggled. Because first of all, if I'm slow to anger, I'm going to deal with my frustrations in the right way because I'm going to take the time to process it. And I'm also not going to be apt to jump online and vent all of my frustration towards my children or towards, my house or whatever it is when I'm slow to anger. And if I rule my spirit, then that helps, if I'm in control of my spirit, I'm not going to fly off the handle as easily. And this is something that I will admit that I have struggled with, is ruling my spirit. But this verse is a great reminder to me, I think to anybody that may be struggling to control their spirit or struggling with a bad attitude. And so I really like that verse. And lastly, I just want to say that we can definitely share about the challenges of motherhood online, but we need to do it from the right place with the right heart. I find it personally encouraging to know that others struggle with the same things that I do. And I find encouragement from people that have been through the same thing, like seasoned mothers that talk about, the things they went through. I find it encouraging to hear their advice on how they got through that rough season. There's a book in particular that I read called Desperate by Sally Clarkson. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it. I know I've talked about it on Instagram before. And that book really helped me because they're seasoned mothers. They've been through the trenches of motherhood, and they give very good scriptural advice on how to deal with it. But we do not need to vent and explode all of our Instagram stories with everything our toddler did wrong or how irritated we are. We don't need to make reels about how our children annoy us and how, we just can't even cope. We don't need to post our toddlers having tantrums on Instagram to show the world how rough our day has been. That's just cruel. The internet is forever. What you put out there is there forever, and I would be horrified if I posted something that would make my family or my child feel disrespected or hurt. There's another verse that I want to read to you. It's Proverbs 14:1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. As mothers, homemakers, wives, we are the center of the home, and we do have the power to tear our families down or to build them up. And I think that by posting this hurtful kind of content, this disrespectful, negative, complaining content online, that is a way of tearing our family down. You're not building your children up when you're complaining about them online. You're not building your husband up when you're making fun of him online. And so I think that verse is so important for us to remember, because we really do have the power to tear our families down. But we need to make sure that, we're like the wise woman and we're building our families up. So I want to encourage you, let's build our families up. Let's encourage one another as mothers. If you see a mother that's struggling with something that you struggled with, encourage her. Be an encouragement to her. Offer her good, godly advice. Don't contribute to her discouragement by being negative. And we don't need to justify bad behavior either. Like I said several times, we don't need to justify bad behavior. We need to be encouraging. We need to encourage other mothers. We need to encourage each other. We need to build our families up. Let's not tear our houses down by contributing to toxic motherhood culture. And let's also not tear others down that may be new mothers or might be, hoping to be a mother. They see that kind of content out there and it's very discouraging to them. So let's encourage one another. Let's encourage our families. Let's build up our families. Let's not contribute to toxic motherhood culture, but let us create a new motherhood culture, one that is willing to embrace the challenges of motherhood with grace, one that is willing to encourage one another in this journey, and one that is willing to look at our hearts and look inward at what may be wrong in our heart and work on our hearts as mothers so that we can be the best mothers that we can possibly be for our families. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that you got something out of it. If you have some thoughts on this subject, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of the video, and I will talk to you guys in my next one.